Can we talk about the biggest transfer in transfer history? In Premier League history, Florian Wirtz going to Liverpool over Bayern Munich and Manchester City. Guys, this speaks volumes. This is the biggest bombshell in Premier League history. If Florian Wirtz turns up with the £116.5 million that's been quoted, then let me tell you something. Not only does it smash the records in terms of transfers, which, by the way, the fact that Enzo Fernandez, Declan Rice, Moises Caicedo are the ones that are at the top of this pile. You know, Jack Grealish, I can understand. But these defensive midfielders, central, get out of here. Okay, Florian Wirtz at least is a number 10, fluid, you know, attacking. There's a bit of flair in there, and he's a dogged, hungry man. The way he plays, that low center of gravity, it's like a bit of Jack Wilshere and Ozil mixed in one. I'm bringing the Arsenal bias, and of course I am. But let me say this though: Florian Wirtz going to Liverpool is blockbuster. It's blockbuster because when you think of the season Liverpool have had, where they've been Premier League champions at a canter, Google what that means. Okay. When they've won the league so well as much as they have done this season, without really spending money, Federico Chiesa came in the window. I'll be honest, I don't think he made 10 appearances this season for Liverpool in all competitions. But when you bring in a Florian Wirtz to add to that midfield that's already got Alexis McAllister, Ryan Gravenberch, and Dominic Szoboszlai, okay? And not to forget, you know, Harvey Elliott and the crew. You've got, what's my man, Curtis? I forgot his first name. Anyway, him. Right? When you've got that kind of pack, and I'm sure there's other midfielders that I'm even forgetting about in this side, Liverpool are legit. This team is legit. And the first signing they go ahead and do, obviously, was my man, Frimpong, from Bayer Leverkusen. And surprise, surprise, another Bayer Leverkusen player comes in. You know, a guy who's played under Xabi Alonso, former Liverpool. The question I'm thinking to myself is, what made this man decide to go to Liverpool over Manchester City, over Bayern Munich? And understand, look, we in England, right, we might look at the Bundesliga and call it the Bundesliga, might not even, you know, hold respect to that league. But if you're a German football player and you're thinking about playing for Germany, you're thinking about playing for the biggest teams in Germany, you're the first, you're the reason, one of the reasons why Bayer Leverkusen have won a trophy to start with, okay? A team that's never won the league. He goes and he wins it with them, right? Along with the other players in that team who did phenomenally well in 23-24 season. But the idea, the fact that he would not go to Bayern Munich when Bayern Munich is interested, because in that league, what tends to happen is Bayern Munich take all the best players amongst their own team. I've just seen them sign Jonathan Tah, right? Now, maybe Tah might not be as what we thought he would be, but it's an easy indication, and it happens so many times where we've seen big players from a Dortmund, for example, from a Leverkusen, maybe a Schalke, wherever the place may be, and they go over to Bayern Munich because they want to be the best, right? And it makes perfect sense. But he rejects Bayern Munich. He doesn't go to Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich, you might argue, oh, but it's not Bayern Munich of old. Forget that. When you're German, when you're German and you're playing in Germany, Bayern Munich to you is what Liverpool, Man United is to England, right? It's what Barcelona, Real Madrid is to Spain. It's Juventus, AC Milan, Inter in Italy, right? Like, we are talking about the biggest stage in his country, right? And instead, he comes over to the Premier League. And that could be one of the reasons why. The Premier League is the best league in football, in the world, rather. I say the best league in football. It could be the best league in football. What am I talking about? It could be the best league in football. It's the most aggressive, the most intense, the most passionate. It's maybe not the most competitive, because I know we like to think that it is, but when City are cleaning up 6 titles and things like that in the last 8 or so years, come on. Come on, let's be serious. But it doesn't mean to say that there's no competition going on elsewhere. Top 4, for example, or places in Europe. Florian Wirtz has said, you know what? No, I need to go play where the lights are, because the Premier League is where the light is shone for sure. It is the biggest league in football in terms of like the commercial, the eyeballs, the fanfare. And so, okay, I want to leave the Bundesliga, a place that I've already conquered. I've conquered the DFB Pokal, great trophy, probably the greatest trophy in football, arguably. So let's move things. Let's go elsewhere. Teams are interested in me. Okay, well, Manchester City are interested in you. Manchester City we are talking about here. A team where money is not an option. It's no issue. And they come out and say that, oh no, the money was too much. I'm not entirely sure. We have to ask ourselves this question though. Surely, even if, let's say the money is too much, right? Even though I don't believe this. You would think Florian Wirtz would be pushing that Manchester City agenda, because it's not like Man City ain't been spending. They went to January as if it was the summer. They spent about 160 million quid in January because they were having such a horror show in the league. But they did everything they could to try and patch it up. They got the top four. Here we are. And then in this summer, they are putting money in. Yeah, they don't care who it is. They are plucking money and they are spending on top talent, as you expect Man City to do so. But for Florian Wirtz to choose Liverpool over Manchester City speaks volumes, guys. Liverpool is bigger than Manchester City. Newsflash, right? Liverpool have won the most Champions Leagues in England. No other team in the Premier League has won more titles than them. And yet Man City seems to be the one where you would go to. But it goes to show the strength and the weight that Liverpool still have and still carry, especially the relevancy that they are champions today. Premier League champions 20 times as well. And Jeremy Frimpong has already joined the club from Leverkusen, which I hear is one of his good mates at Leverkusen. So if that's the case, we can understand. We can see why Florian Wirtz might want to join there. But isn't the midfield a little bit packed? Isn't Man City the one that's been looking for that 10, that De Bruyne replacement, that Phil Foden hole? I mean, pause, but you know what I'm saying. Florian Wirtz is joining the champions. He's joining the Premier League. And the fee is incredible, astronomical money. Will he ever be worth the money? We have to wait and see. Because I know people think, hey, listen, no player can ever be worth £100 million. And you know what? It's hard to argue against that. I'm definitely not going to argue against it. But here's today's market. This is where we are. And if you're going to spend big, spend it on the right player. Spend it on the right player. Because too often what we see in the Premier League is teams spending money, big dollar, duffel bag, for players that just do not live up to the billing. And we're not talking about live up to the £100 million price tag or the £80 million price tag, 70. We're talking about the fact that they're not even 30 or 40 million. They're not 25 million. They haven't arrived. We're still waiting for players to arrive that come on such a huge transfer fee. Asking ourselves, is he even good anymore? That's where we're getting to at this stage. So the fact that he cost this amount of money, listen, it's extortionate, astronomical. Liverpool have got the money clearly, you know, and here we are. This is where we are today. Florian Wirtz signing for Liverpool over Manchester City and Bayern Munich, guys, is a bombshell. It's big, it's huge, and it's an indication of where Liverpool are ranked in the world of football, and it's an indication of where Liverpool could be heading. Because even though that midfield of Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, Ryan Gravenberch, guess what? Florian Wirtz is there. And he's arrived, and he's going to be there. He's going to be starting in that 11. Who he drops, I'm going to assume Szoboszlai. But listen, the rotation is there. Because if Alexis McAllister has a stinker, they can fit somebody else just right in there. No problem at all. Liverpool are stacking it, man. And to think they lost Trent Alexander-Arnold in all of this. But they've got Jeremy Frimpong. They've got Florian Wirtz nearly over the line now. Mo Salah, Van Dijk. It's madness. What they are building there at Liverpool is madness. Because even though those players that I just mentioned are a bit older, the youngers that are there, like Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, these are not old players. Gakpo's still there. You know, what's going to go on with Luis Diaz? This team is kind of stacked, ready for 2025-26 season. This is a big one. Shout out to Liverpool for pulling this off if they do. Because to get this is no mean feat. And I'm sure Frimpong had something to do with it. And I'm sure Xabi Alonso had something to do with this. But nonetheless, when he holds up that Liverpool shirt, wearing whatever number, will he take the 10 off McAllister? Let's have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. But over Manchester City, over Bayern Munich, I wouldn't sleep on this transfer. This transfer is huge. It is huge.